Hello and welcome to the Red 78 Munster podcast on Off the Ball. My name is Rory O'Hagan, joined by Munster legends Alan Quinlan and Fiona Hayes to talk all things Munster as we look ahead to the Scarlets game this week. Munster back in action this week after a break, and we'll also look at the Six Nations as well from a Munster perspective. So that's all to come on this week's episode of the Red 78 on Off the Ball. Alan, Fiona, how are you guys? Good to see you as always.
Good, Rory, in great form. You never realise how much you miss seeing Quinny's face there until it's gone for a couple of weeks. I haven't seen him, or yourself, Rory, so delighted the gang is back together, huh?
Oh yeah, we're all delighted to see Quinny this morning. Quinny, how are you, boy?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, she's lying that she's in great form because Everton's equaliser last night has her not in good form.
That was very funny, lads.
No.
Why was it funny, Rory?
Because Liverpool collapsed in the last minute. Why wouldn't it be funny?
Do you not like Liverpool or something?
Well, not like is a very strong word.
Right, okay. Get back to the rugby quick.
Get back to the rugby quick. But a lot to talk about on the show this week. Munster haven't been in action in a while, as I said. Scarlets come this week. Thomond Park coming up on Saturday evening. First, though, Fiona, a couple of messages reaching us on the show.
Yeah, Quinny put out a tweet last night, so fair play to everyone getting back. I'll just call out a couple there. So Cian McGibney, are we any close to knowing the identity of the next Munster head coach? The fact with a large number of key of the players have re-signed, as well as Dan Kelly arriving next year, suggests the announcement can't be far off. Regards, Cian McGibney. So any inside info on that, Quinny?
No, I think the process has accelerated a bit. I believe there's applicants being spoken to. I'm not sure about being interviewed or where it's at. So look, I don't know. I think it's a well-kept secret anyway. I think it was stagnant for a while as regards my own understanding. Again, it's only my own summation of it that they were waiting to see who was available and probably to get to this period of a little bit of downtime as regards there wasn't matches week after week after week. So I don't know. I imagine sometime soon we'll know more as to what's happening regarding players re-signing and stuff like that. I doubt if players are re-signing based on, well, such and such a coach is coming in and or Mike Prendergast has taken over. Obviously, that would be a factor if it was something they could use. But I think most people in that situation, would be basing their re-signing on wanting to stay with the club. Now, there's a very good argument to say, well, Dan Kelly, who's his head coach next year? So is he signed with not knowing who the head coach is? Well, I don't know. Maybe he does, but it's I doubt it. I don't think the process is sorted fully yet. I think the argument there to get someone to sign is you'd be arguing saying, well, the current coaches, on-field coaches, are all in place, and that the head coach isn't at the moment. But yeah, not ideal, and it's still going on and on.
Yeah, I think what I heard there, Rory, was they're waiting for Warren Gatland. Is that what he said, wasn't it?
Oh, they're waiting for you. They're waiting for you, Fiona.
Go ahead, jeez. John wrote in as well, pity not more Munster, non-Leinster reputation on the Irish team. Those 50-50, this is interesting, Quinny, those 50-50 bench calls should go to represent the country that we follow as supporters in good times and bad. The coaching teams seem to dismiss the idea, but I think they and the RFU are missing the point. What do you reckon about that? Those 50-50 calls, or any take on that?
Without looking at so it's the bench mainly 50-50 calls. I don't know. I think for me, automatically, without delving deep into it, I would just say I would never like to go down that road of, well, there's a 50-50 and my thought process then is get a Munster player, a Connacht player, an Ulster player on the bench. I think in an ideal world, if it was very close and that you were going to get the same kind of impact of each player, yeah, I think it may sway a coach. I don't know. But yeah, it'd be great if there was more representation. Sure, that's something we're always talking about. But the best players are from, the majority of these best players are from Leinster at the moment, and that's for me. It's about picking. When you go into an Ireland camp, and whether people believe this or not, I didn't really. Um, never put any thought process into, well, there's a guy from Connacht, there's a guy from Leinster, a guy from Ulster, and I'm not gonna put in a shift with them
Yeah.
to try and do well in the jersey. So, um, yeah, I get the point, and it'd be in an ideal world. I think Paul O'Connell addressed it a few weeks ago. He was asked at one of the press conferences, but um, the other provinces and the other players just got to get better and put their hands up and be really consistent. There is an argument. You'll always have an argument with one or two players, but I think if you look at the Ireland bench that came off, that impacted at the weekend, um, it was a very, very, very strong bench, and I don't know if you could argue strongly for anyone else being there. I think, and I've said this, I have to be very careful what way I say it about Cian Healy. Cian Healy's 37 now. He's around a long time. From an Irish point of view, it would be great if there was, Jack Boyle is coming through there and he's in the squad. But you pick a team in the Six Nations to win matches, and I think again, it'd be lovely if there was more representation, but I don't think it's applicable at the moment or a possibility.
All right, guys, just some news that's actually just come in there while we've been chatting. Live breaking news on the Red 78 podcast. Tadhg Beirne has signed a new 2-year contract. Extensions remain with Irish Rugby and Munster Rugby until 2027. Made his test debut in green against Australia in 2018. He's won 58 caps, the last of which against Scotland over the weekend. Fiona, that's fantastic news.
Yeah, how lucky are we to have him? I mean, it's week after week. I think every single time he's playing, he's in the conversation for star of the week as well. Um, but it's when he gets up to that international
Mm,
level, you see the real quality, what he does, his work rate. I suppose it's his breakdown, even in
yeah.
second row, wherever he's playing on the pitch, he manages him to get himself involved in turnovers, just getting in on the ball, and he's just been absolutely superb for Munster and Ireland, and absolutely delighted to see him sign on as well. Because I know a lot of people as well would say, oh, he came up through Leinster, but look, he went overseas and Munster spotted him back playing with Munster a long time, and he's now the captain. And you can even in chatting to him, you can see he's Munster through and through now.
Yeah, 85 caps for Munster, Quinny, club captain as well. You see that blue scrum cap just go hunting for the ball to break down. He's just an incredible player.
Yeah, the consistency that you associate with Tadhg Beirne's performances is just second to none all the time. Um, it's very, very good news. They need more good news. They need more players coming
Mm,
through. They need Edwin Adogwo back. We need some John Klein back. We need more power in that pack. Um, I think with Lee Barn, Michael Mill coming in next year, Dan Kelly has signed. Ben Brownlee's there in a short-term contract from Leinster, a very good player, young player as well. They're the kind of good news stories you want. We've been blabbering on about for months about all the injuries and the negative impact and the depth of the squad. Um, so yeah, it's good news, I think, and when you get a big signing like that, a big player re-signing, it can energize the rest of the squad and attract more people and attention to the group. So, his performances have been sublime. He's 33 now, so that'll take him up to his maybe 35, 36. And we're seeing no decline in his performances.
mm.
And I think that's probably the key. So, again, I'm sure this was agreed weeks ago or maybe a month or two ago. But it's great that it's announced. I thought you were going to announce that there's a new head coach now, but
No white
no,
smoke there yet.
that's really good news because you think of where Munster were last year and the year before, losing players, injuries. For him to recommit is a very important, positive one.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic to see Tadhg Beirne commit until 2027. Let's look ahead to that Scarlets game coming up Thomond Park, 5:15 Saturday. Two sides very, very close to each other in the table. The Scarlets just a point ahead. Munster haven't lost to the Scarlets in since 2019 over in Wales. They haven't lost to Welsh opposition at home for the last 9 years. But Fiona Hayes, this is a big game for Munster considering where both sides are in the table.
Yeah, exactly that, Rory. I think they're 1 point ahead, Scarlets, so it's quite tight on that table as well between the first couple of teams and down as far as I think maybe ninth. So it's a huge game for this squad. I think it's brilliant that it's the down week as well because
Mm.
they'll have a couple of guys back. We know Thomas Ahern, obviously the likes of Tadhg Beirne, Peter O'Mahony probably won't play. But it's good that we Thomas Hearn has been up in that environment and he gets to come back and play. So I think it's an exciting game to have. And Quinny spoke a lot about this before Christmas, that it's these games after Christmas. I think it's this game, Scarlets, it's Edinburgh, it's Ulster. These are the games you're targeting because it was a big run in with the European games as well. Both teams have actually won. I think it's maybe three out of their last five. I know that Scarlets beat Edinburgh, so they are quite a really good team. Before you'd look at the results. I think it was last year it was 42 points and seven, but in the year before, I remember down in Cork, it was a cracking game. It was a 49-42 and just some brilliant tries scores. They have scores. They have the ability to score tries, but in general, I think their pack are quite consistent, really good at the breakdown, and a hard team to play against. But certainly this squad, 3 weeks, we talked about it, and Quinny probably know more about those 3 weeks as well. But we talked about it. What is it a good? Is it a bad thing? It's certainly when we get to see this game, we can see if there's been any change in what these guys are doing, or if we see a lot more cohesion. The rugby Munster we're playing has been building up, but we know the last couple of the games there was a couple of errors, especially in attack. It's lovely to see they were
Mm.
trying things, but I think this game, having a couple of weeks off now, we'll see, are they rusty or does this actually really make it cohesive and improve that backline attack? So I'm excited at watching
Mm.
it this Saturday.
Yeah, could you just take up that point? I suppose it's been 3 weeks since Munster have played. It's kind of an awkward kind of spell in between kind of Six Nations games. I suppose you would have been involved in a couple of those games yourself during your Munster career. I mean, like, how do you suppose build up for those games?
So you're kind of hinting there that I've been released back from the Irish squad to play these games
I didn't say
during
it.
the
I didn't say a
international
word, Alan
period.
Quinlan. No.
Um, no, I would have been. Yeah, there was a period of time there where it was the Munster Pack and Simon Easterby playing for Ireland, and they did brilliant. And it was really hard to get into that group. And I would have spent a lot, a number of campaigns, training with Ireland at the start of the week, being in the camps and being away at the games like at the weekend, and then being released back like Thomas Ahern is this weekend. Um, it's tricky because we probably back when I played, we had a lot of internationals away. So the team that were essentially preparing for the week or the games in between the Six Nations would have had a lot of prep done, a lot of team runs done as a unit. So
Mm.
obviously Leinster have a lot of players away, and they have that situation where they nearly know their team. So sometimes it's really good to have players coming back in. Obviously, your internationals coming back, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get this cohesive performance at the weekend. Um, I always wanted to get back. You're mad to play games if you haven't played in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So, because you're in, aside from the team really needing points at the weekend, players need matches here and they want to try and enhance their own reputations. There's a summer tour coming up. Um, some guys a little bit frustrated maybe that they're not in Irish squad. So you have to perform. So Thomas Hearn is an example.
Yeah.
He's got to go back now and play well this weekend. So the Irish selectors look at the games of the weekend and they say, right, that's the attitude I want, that's the professionalism, that's the performance, and I want you to stand out and show us that maybe we should be accelerating you into this Irish squad quicker and potentially using you, and you should be getting better. So. Yeah, you'll have plenty of scrutiny, and that's what the Irish selectors will watch this weekend. They'll watch those reactions, the likes of Gavin Coombs, John Hodnett. Can they get up to that level and put a little bit of pressure about getting into Irish squads? We saw Coombs the last day against the Dragons. I thought I saw a real attitude about him, something that at times maybe over the years. he looked like he wasn't concentrating and not as aggressive and up for it. And I mean that very respectfully. I think his game has improved a lot, and he's obviously working on stuff that the Irish coaches want him to get better at. This, being on it when you're with the ball and without the ball, the work rate, all that kind of stuff. Because he's such a good player. He's so powerful and physical as well. So you want to try and go back, Rory, and try and make an impression and add to the team and bring energy. And there is a little bit of pressure. I felt it myself that fellas look around at you and think, well, you're the international now. You kind of have to you have to make a big hit, or you have to make a big carry, and bring you have to bring the quality. So there's a little bit of pressure with that. And it's enjoyable to get back. And as I said, I always enjoyed. I would have preferred at the time to be playing with the Irish team, but if you're not playing matches, you're hungry for games, and I always thought to myself, this is an opportunity to show them that I'm ready here. And if the next game, if someone gets injured or someone drops out or there's a bit of a form issue, that you're chomping at the bit, you have a performance to kind of hang your hat on. So. It's a great opportunity for them to deliver. The 3 week break, or will it be 3 weeks? Just about 3 weeks since they played the Dragons. We don't really know, because we haven't seen this long of a break before. I think we've seen 2 week breaks. Maybe there's been a couple of 3 weekers last year, was there? But it's relatively new, and I think it's a positive change that they've taken, URC games out of international weekends, because they get lost a little bit. So people will tune in at the weekend and get excited about the URC again, and be really focused on it. So the last couple of weeks for any teams, not just Munster, is about doing extra fitness hits, strength conditioning, rehabbing some of the bangs and knocks, but also getting your detail right, and getting enough rugby in, getting that balance right. So you don't know, you go out and have a good performance after not playing for 3 weeks, your prep has been perfect. If you have a bad performance, you can look back and say, well, we should have done this, and we should have worked more on our kickoffs, or worked more on our fitness. But it's interesting, it's intriguing scenario, because the Scarlets have been I think very poor last season, but they've shown this year that they're a very dangerous side. They seem to have a little bit more strength about them, experience, quality. They started a difficult start. They drew away to Benetton round one. Then they lost to Cardiff at home. Then they lost to Connacht at home. And you're thinking after 3 rounds, this is going to be a tough season for them. But they've got a run of results. Performed well, and their attacking rugby has been sublime at times. But I think they've got a bit of physical presence about them as well. Sam Lucy, who was incredible 2 years ago in that game down in Cork, the Tongan second row, he can be incredibly physical, effective. Discipline at time lets him down, but he's a very effective player when he's on it. Vai Fafita, the New Zealander, he's a brilliant player. If he's on song again, can be such a good player. Josh McLeod, he's a really tough, abrasive back row. So they have players who can ask questions, but let's see. They haven't, some of the wins. They've the last game against Edinburgh again. All your internationals away, so you don't know. This is a test for them going to Cork, and you read out some of the stats there at the start, Rory. So yeah, there's a little bit of intrigue with the break, but it's very obvious to say it's a must-win game for Munster, given there's only a point between the sides. They're in 7th now, Munster, Scarlets in 6th. But you have to win your home games at this point for Munster to try and make sure they get in the playoffs and be in Europe for next year.